In the history of modern finance, something unusual is happening right now. Not loud, not explosive, but massive. Money is moving, quietly, relentlessly. If you glance at a screen and see gold prices breaking record after record, the easy explanation is inflation, or war, or political tension. Those answers sound reasonable. They are comfortable, and they are incomplete. Because what we are witnessing is not a rally, it is not a trend, it is not speculation, it is a reaction to something far more dangerous than volatility. The slow erosion of trust. For decades, the global financial system has operated on a simple belief that money is neutral, that rules apply evenly, that what you own today will still be yours tomorrow. But history has a way of testing assumptions. When hundreds of billions in reserves can be frozen overnight, when access to money depends on political alignment, when ownership quietly turns into permission, trust begins to thin. And when trust thins, money does not argue, it does not complain, it moves. That is the pattern repeating itself right now. Not because gold is exciting, not because it promises fast returns, but because it answers a very old question. What still holds value when promises stop feeling solid? For years, gold was treated like background noise. A hedge, a relic, something polite investors mentioned but rarely prioritized. That era is ending. Today, gold is no longer just a store of value. It is becoming a strategic asset again. Not first for individuals, for nations. While headlines focus on interest rates and stock markets, something far more revealing is happening behind the scenes. Governments are accumulating physical assets, not contracts, not derivatives, not digital entries. Real metal, with weight, with custody, with no counterparty risk. This shift did not happen by accident, because trust, once broken, does not return easily. And money, once frightened, does not wait for reassurance. Here's where the story deepens. For decades, the price of gold was shaped far away from the metal itself, set in financial centers where gold was traded mostly as paper. Promises to deliver rather than delivery itself. But in parts of Asia, a different rulebook exists. In those markets, gold is not settled with confidence. It is settled with custody. If you buy gold, you receive gold. Bars, serial numbers, verified storage, no substitutions. And here is the quiet detail most people miss. Physical gold in Asia often trades at a premium to paper gold priced in the West. Not because demand is emotional, but because delivery matters. That price gap does something powerful. It creates a silent incentive. Buy paper gold where it is cheap. Demand physical delivery. Move the metal east. Sell where real ownership is rewarded. One shipment at a time. This is not a theory. It is a mechanism, and the countries designing this system understand exactly what they are doing. After reserves can be frozen, nations remember why physical assets matter. After promises can be suspended, possession becomes policy. Gold, once treated as decorative, becomes defensive. Then strategic, not because it is perfect, but because it is independent. It does not rely on trust. It does not require alignment, and it does not vanish with a policy update. What you are seeing now is not fear-driven buying. It is rational repositioning, a slow migration away from systems that only work when everyone believes at the same time. This is not the collapse of money, it is the stress test of it. And stress reveals structure. When trust holds, money stays still. When trust cracks, money moves, and it is already moving. To understand why money is moving, you first have to understand where it is moving away from. Because the real story is not gold. It is paper. For decades, the global financial system has been built on representations instead of reality. Claims instead of possession. Promises instead of delivery. We call this efficiency. We call this liquidity. We call this progress. But let me give you a simpler picture. Imagine you walk into a restaurant and buy a steak voucher. The restaurant smiles and tells you that anytime you want, you can bring it back and you will get a real steak. Sounds fair. Now imagine that same restaurant sells 100 steak vouchers while keeping only one steak in the kitchen. They are not worried. Because they assume trust will do the heavy lifting. They assume not everyone will show up at once. That assumption is exactly how modern paper gold markets operate. In the West, gold is mostly traded as contracts, futures, ETFs, certificates. Numbers move on screens at incredible speed, but almost none of it requires touching actual metal. In many cases, for every single ounce of physical gold in a vault, there are dozens, sometimes hundreds, of paper claims circulating in the system. All legal, all accepted, all normal. As long as nobody asks for delivery, because the system only works when belief stays intact. The moment confidence weakens, when large players stop accepting cash settlement and start demanding real metal, the illusion begins to crack. And that moment is no longer theoretical. Across Asia, gold is treated very differently. In markets like Shanghai, gold is not an abstract instrument. It is a physical commodity. If you buy gold, you pay real money, and you receive real bars with serial numbers stored in transparent, verifiable vaults. No rollover, no paper substitution. No, we will settle later. This difference matters more than most people realize. Because physical gold in Asia often trades at a premium to paper gold priced in New York or London. That price gap is not an anomaly, it is an incentive. Buy paper gold cheaply in Western markets. Request physical delivery. Ship the metal east. Sell it where real ownership is valued more than promises. This is how gold quietly migrates, not through headlines, not through panic, but through arbitrage, one shipment at a time. As more metal leaves Western vaults, liquidity tightens. Rules quietly change. Fees increase. Minimum delivery thresholds rise. Not because of conspiracy, but because the system was never designed for everyone to ask for the stake at the same time. Paper gold works beautifully until trust erodes. And once people realize that owning is not the same as holding, priorities shift. Convenience becomes secondary. Certainty becomes essential. This is the pressure building beneath the surface. Quiet, invisible, relentless, and it sets the stage for what comes next. At this point, the story stops being abstract, because this is where strategy enters the picture. While Western markets continue debating interest rates and quarterly data, China and Russia have been doing something far less noisy and far more consequential. They have been quietly converting trust-based assets into physical ones. Gold is not an investment for them. It is infrastructure. China does not treat gold as a hedge. It treats gold as leverage. For years, official numbers have suggested that China holds a little over 2,000 tons of gold. But independent analysts, tracking imports, domestic mining, and undisclosed purchases, estimate the real number could be double that, or more. And that secrecy is not accidental. If China openly announced that it was accumulating thousands of tons of gold, prices would surge instantly. Acquisition would become expensive, and the advantage would be lost. So instead, gold is accumulated quietly, through state banks, through commercial channels, through entities that do not report directly to central bank balance sheets. Slow, methodical, deliberate. Russia followed a similar path. After its reserves were frozen, the message was received, loud and clear. Money held inside someone else's system is not really yours. Since then, Russia has reduced dollar exposure, shifted trade settlements, and increased its reliance on hard assets. Not because gold is fashionable, but because gold cannot be sanctioned. It cannot be frozen. It cannot be canceled with a signature. And this is where the map changes. When China and Russia coordinate, they form a closed loop. China produces goods, Russia supplies energy and raw materials. Gold acts as the neutral settlement layer in between. Oil for currency, currency for gold, gold for security. No dollar required. This is not theory. It is already happening in bilateral trade agreements, energy settlements, and alternative payment systems. And once gold becomes the bridge, other nations begin to pay attention. Because holding dollars means holding exposure. Holding gold means holding sovereignty. This is how trust migrates. Not away from money entirely, but away from money that can be turned off. The system is not collapsing. It is bifurcating. Paper-based finance on one side, asset-based settlement on the other, and gold sits exactly in the middle of that divide. Not as nostalgia, not as ideology, but as a tool. And once gold is treated as infrastructure, not speculation, the rules change. This is no longer about price targets. It is about control. Who sets the terms? Who defines value? And who decides what counts as money when trust is no longer guaranteed? And this brings us to the question most people avoid. What do you do when the system still functions but no longer works the way it used to? Because you do not need a total collapse for things to break. You only need trust to thin out. Monetary systems rarely fail with explosions. They fail quietly, politely, with explanations, temporary rules, emergency tools, small adjustments that feel reasonable at the time. Until one day, you realize the ground moved while you were standing still. This is why the smartest players are not panicking. They are repositioning. They are not betting on one outcome. They are preparing for multiple versions of the future. They hold assets that function outside pure trust-based systems. They diversify across regions. They focus on things that still matter, even if screens go dark or rules change. Not because disaster is guaranteed, but because incentives never lie. When debt grows faster than productivity, pressure builds. When promises exceed reality, confidence erodes. And when confidence erodes, money moves. Not emotionally, systematically. This is why gold keeps reappearing in history. Not as a trade, but as a reference point. It does not promise growth. It does not pay yield. It simply measures how much trust is left in everything else. So the real question is no longer, will gold hit 3,000? The better question is how resilient is the system that prices everything else? And here's the part no algorithm can answer for you. Education beats prediction. Understanding beats guessing. Clarity beats hype. You do not need to outrun the system. You just need to understand how it actually works. Because when trust breaks, money moves. The only question is whether you move consciously or watch it move without you. If this perspective helped you see the bigger picture, stay curious. Share this with someone who still believes systems never change. And remember, history does not repeat perfectly, but it always rhymes.